CEO of Seychelles Tourism Board. Now, Alan has a bit more to say, don't you? Would you like to take to the podium?
If you bear 2 minutes, she's just putting in a short clip also. Good afternoon, everybody, delegates. I think you've heard about some people with 57 airports, somebody who claims that he is the smallest country of the European Union. Well, now you will hear from the smallest country in the world. I stand before you as the representative of one of the tiniest nations on earth, the Seychelles Islands. Population 87,000 only. The briefest examination of the world map will confirm that ours is a country with more sea than land. A very small country indeed, with slightly more than 450 square kilometers of land area, but with an exclusive economic zone of 1 million square miles. Located approximately 1,000 miles off the African coast, Seychelles is part of Africa, a member of the Commonwealth, and of other regional bodies such as RETOSA, COMESA, SADC, and COI, the Indian Ocean Commission. Seychelles forms an archipelago of 115 sparkling islands, located between 4 to 10 degrees south of the equator in the western Indian Ocean. Only settled in 1756 by French settlers. It was first a French colony before being ceded to Great Britain in 1812, whose colony it remained until independence in 1976. Today, the Republic of the Seychelles has a multi-party political system with an executive president, James Michel, as head of state. However, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not here to deliver a history lesson, nor to sing the praises of the many attributes with which the Seychelles has been blessed. A country with sublime natural beauty, world-beating beaches, and the land of perpetual summer. We even brought some to Berlin as we're coming down here. For those of you who are familiar with our islands, you will already know that what Seychelles represents as a tourism destination and how important our tourism industry is for our national economy. On account of our size, the Seychelles presents itself as a perfect microcosm for the study of certain of the issues being debated here today. In 2009, following the crash of the financial sectors in America and Europe and the resulting recessions, Seychelles experienced a serious dip in its visitor arrival figures, and therefore in its revenue. It was decided that change was needed in the way the country was approaching its tourism, as well as a serious streamlining and invigoration of institutions, and also resources, both human and otherwise. What began to take place as a result of this new dynamic set the stage for revitalization of the Seychelles tourism industry and paved the way for the successes that we have since enjoyed. Firstly, the government, in its new role as facilitator only, entered a new partnership with the private sector, which now assumes responsibility for its own industry. With local stakeholders now in the driving seat, the resulting new synergy has allowed much needed changes to be effected on the ground. Together, these have enabled Seychelles to make the greater and more efficient use of its limited resources across the board. Fresh policies have been adopted vis-à-vis open skies and airlift, which has resulted in a marked increase in the number of visitors arriving on our shores. Alongside our national carrier, Air Seychelles, Emirates Airline is now looking at 2 flights a day to Seychelles. Qatar flies daily, and Etihad is starting operation with a scheduled 4 flights per week. And Ethiopian Airways is soon to launch a direct link between Seychelles and Addis Ababa. In this highly competitive climate, Air Seychelles is now under new management and is undergoing something of a metamorphosis, after which we are confident our tiny airline that has achieved so much in its comparatively short history, will secure its own niche and continue to do the country proud and bring visitors to our shores. Seychelles is also served by Kenya Airways, Air Austral, Air France in a code-share basis, and Condor, with direct links from Frankfurt. This dynamic new airlift has allowed us to diversify our customer base and explore new markets in the Middle East, Asia, Africa, and the Americas, together with new synergies for the developing exciting twin hub vacations with partners, destinations on the African continent and elsewhere. In the case of Seychelles, increased private sector involvement in its tourism industry and greater buy-in by the population at large, while government maintains its vital role as a facilitator, have together brought about crucial changes, not only to the way we operate, but also to the very way we think. To create even greater momentum, our President, James Michel, himself took the helm and the portfolio for tourism in mid-2010 and asked the nation to refocus on Seychelles' distinct brand of tourism, that unique suite of attributes, natural beauty, culture, activities and events that make Seychelles what it is. He called on the entire nation to stand behind its tourism industry and to get involved in its renaissance. Whilst tourism may be about attracting visitors, one should never forget that it must also be about involving and gaining the support of one's local population. And that is something we are witnessing as we continue to pursue our events-based tourism strategies. I believe that Seychelles provides a compelling argument for what can be achieved through increased private sector involvement in the tourism industry. Through the adoption of an open skies aviation policy operating in tandem with the national carrier, and by thinking out of the box in the formulation of marketing strategies that involve international partnership and which are socially inclusive of the local population. Seychelles is one country that considers itself a friend of all and an enemy of none. And this belief has dictated policy of a visa-free country. Our airport tax has remained at the same rate for over a decade. I say that as we are all present at this convention, discussing a wide variety of issues impacting on the aviation industry. We need to carefully look at what needs to be done in these troubled times of financial crisis and international insecurity to ensure that we maximize opportunities to shore up global aviation by addressing the underlying issues and creating the new synergies and dynamics to carry international aviation forward. Thank you, and thank you for being out here this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Alain.